Pain can either sink us into depression and disillusion, or we can channelize the same pain and use it as a seed to spiritual awakening. And to discuss the same today, I have with me on my podcast Shweta Singh Kirti, who has written this beautiful book, Pain, a Portal to Enlightenment. Shweta, welcome on my podcast, and thank you so much for choosing me, to bring out this beautiful spiritual journey. I have to tell you, I read this book, and I read it like almost, you can say, to the last few pages. And this book for me is like the Upanishads. It's like the Bhagavad Gita. It has everything, and I'm also going to discuss about your spiritual experiences, especially the one with Maa Kali and with Lord Krishna. It's a very, very profound spiritual experience. Very, very few people will have that kind of blessing. And sometimes, I mean, when I read this book, I felt you are the chosen one. So firstly, welcome back to Mumbai.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we all know you as Sushant Singh Rajput's sister.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not going to dig into his life and ask you questions about him. And I don't want to probe you and make you uncomfortable. And, what do you think happened? And, I know his fans still miss him. And I know a lot of us have questions about him. Anybody who knew him personally or who have known him through his social media can tell you that he was so strong spiritually that suicide is out of question.
So true. So true.
So let's begin with this book and your intent and why you wrote this book.
Okay, Preetika, how about we start with mantra chanting?
I would love that. I would love that.
So please fold your hands, close your eyes. Om Masato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramkrishna Paramahansa Hari Om. So yeah, the main intention of writing this book was that I experienced the kind of pain that could have shattered anyone, right? That pain has actually helped me live a more awakened life. So I was able to transmute it into power, and by using the spiritual tools. So I thought maybe if I write down all those spiritual tools in the book, that might help anybody who is also going through any kind of pain. Pain of losing a loved one being the most difficult to live through, right? It almost feels like you have lost one of your limbs when you lose a loved one. You feel like you have lost a part of yourself, right? So it becomes very, very difficult to survive when something like that happens. And Preetika, when this happened, when Sushant passed on actually, not passed away, I don't like using that term, I went to several months of solitary retreat with only two things in mind and my heart. First thing being, the pain of losing my only brother in such a tragic way, right? And the second one was the faith I had in spirituality, the faith I had in non-duality. I went with these two things to a small cabin in a huge, huge acreage in a Californian hill. The place is called as Land of Calm Abiding. It's a Buddhist hermitage. And I spent those hours, in meditation, in deep meditation, contemplating what is it that is causing me so much of suffering? Who is it that is suffering so much? Who is it that is so attached, right? That it has to suffer this much, but it's not letting go of that attachment.
This book has you mentioning about a very special experience.
Yeah.
Where you saw Maa Kali live in front of you. And that also reminds me that when Anuradha Podwal ji was here on my podcast, she also spoke about her experiences with Maa Kali and seeing Maa Kali live. Yeah. So I'm very intrigued to know about how was it? I mean, you saw her face and you saw her like actually in front of you, right?
I had 2 experiences with Maa Kali.
Okay.
Yeah. So first one was, I'll tell you the whole story, what happened.
Sure.
So it was summer of 2002, and I had cracked my exam of NIFT, and I had to go to Kolkatta for the interview, NIFT interview. And there was nobody to take me to Kolkatta because, my second sister's wedding arrangement was going on. And, I was feeling so bad about it that I was in my room and almost like crying and asking God that why, God, I did put in so much of effort, cracked the exam, and there is nobody to take me to Kolkata even. And somehow, magically, God told me, I'll take care of everything. And magically, Pinky Di called. Pinky Di was Rani Di's friend. And she was placed in Kolkata during that time. And she was like, okay, Mama told about that, I've gotten into it. I have to come to, to give the interview. And she was like, I'll take care of all the arrangement. Just let her come here. Okay. And beautifully, everything was organized over there. Okay. God's grace.
Okay.
So next day was my situational test and interview and stuff. Before that, we went to Dakshineshwar. So Chunu Bhaiya came along with me. He was my cousin brother. And as soon as I reached the temple and I touched the wall of Dakshineshwar, something happened to me. Tears started flowing out. And I was a teenager then. I was very, very embarrassed to cry in public. I kept, kind of wiping my tears off. And it didn't stop. And after a while, I stopped trying also that, So I was in queue, and it was a huge queue. And we had to kind of come in front of the idol. And you're not supposed to stop over there. You just have to do the darshan and leave. But, I had been taken up by such an emotional outburst that I wasn't able to stop myself from crying and just being there in the presence of God. As soon as I saw God, I felt so weak on my knees. I fell there.
So was this inside the Garbhagriha or was it outside?
It was inside the Garbhagriha. So after doing the darshan, you are supposed to just exit from the right side.
Right.
I wasn't able to go. I kept crying and asking God that, God, why did you separate me from you? Somehow I always had the sense that I was one with God at some point of time. And then I was separated from God. So it's called as Virah. So from very beginning, from very childhood, I will write in my diary that, I'm an Atma. I have to be one with Paramatma. The sole purpose of my life is to attain moksha, where I go back to God. So I kept crying at that time. Somehow that got triggered in me when I was there. And I kept asking God, why did you separate me from you? Don't you feel my pain? Right? And I was like, till the time you don't answer me, why did you separate me from you? I will not leave this place. I'll die here. I was a very, very stubborn kid. When I said that, I meant it. And anyway, I was feeling so emotional and my heart was wrenching as if, it will just come out. So I sat there, I kept crying, And somehow, what happened was, there was this lady from the right side, from the side where everybody was leaving from. There was this old lady with white hair, white sari. I didn't see her directly. I saw her from the corner of my eyes. She came from the other side, and as if she was about to kind of fall, she kept her hand on me like this. And at that time, I was really crying hard, right? I was like, there was this thirst. I wanted to know, why I was separated from God. I was like a barren land, right? And as soon as she kept her hand, it felt as if there was rain. This amazing feeling kind of transcended on me. And I felt it in my spine too. And my heart, it calmed down. And I wanted to see, who is this, right? When I looked at her, she was almost gone. She was nowhere to be found.
Okay.
So I feel that it was, and somebody later, when I was telling her the story, somebody later told me that might be Sharda Ma. So I didn't know, so I had no clue that this temple, the priest of the temple was Ramkrishna. I had no such clue.
Okay.
So I had just gone there because it was a temple, and I was suggested that I should go there, and all of this happened there. So when I got up to leave the temple, it's very, very crowded there. Generally, it's very crowded, right? And I was very thin then. I was like almost smushed in the crowd. And I was like, okay, I'm now about to die, right? So it's okay, God. I was talking to God, and I was like, it's okay, God. I'll die in your place only, I'm happy. Somebody held my hand and pulled me out of that whole crowd thing. And as soon as I came out, I saw Chinu Bhaiya standing there. So I was like, Chinu Bhaiya, aapne mujhe pull kiya kya? I thought maybe he pulled me out. So he was like, नहीं, तुम कहाँ थी तब से मैं तुम्हारे लिए इतने देर से wait कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पे. So I don't know who pulled me out also. So that was one experience. And then there was another experience that happened with Kali Ma. And that was when it was again 2002 December time. So this happened in summers, and this happened during December month.
Yeah.
उस समय क्या हुआ कि मेरी mom was not keeping well, but I didn't know anything about it. Okay. I was lying down on my bed, and the door was open.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I was half asleep, half awake, and I saw this Kali Ma coming to me. She had her tongue out, her eyes were all sparkly, and she came close to me, and she as if took something from my heart. And as she was doing that, I got up from the bed. Like, I felt so much pressure that I got up from the bed like that. And, I felt the emptiness that as she pulled something out, I felt something left me, It was around 3 o'clock at night. And that was when my mom died. And nobody told me about it. I got to know about it. Like my sister, she didn't tell anything later also after 2-3 days, because I was having my exams and stuff. And she didn't want me to so she wanted me to finish the exam and then come to Patna. So yeah, that was the time when this happened, and that was the exact time when Mama left the body.
But what do you think was the subtler meaning of this entire thing? Like Kali Ma walking, towards you and taking that something out of your heart. Was she trying to take away pain, or what do you think was happening?
So I was the most attached to my mom. I was very, very attached to my mom. So whenever I'll go anywhere, I'll carry her sari with me so that I can smell of her. And, whatever I wanted to do in my life was just to bring a smile on her face, to make her proud. So she was my biggest attachment. So maybe she took away that attachment. Yeah. And that is when my really spiritual journey began, because I wanted to know the real meaning of death. What happens when somebody dies? Do they really leave? Is there nothing left of them? You are seeing them alive. You can touch them. You can talk to them. You can, you can hug them. You can see their smile. And all of a sudden they are gone. Where do they go? Their presence is also like, what happens to them? What happens to the presence? right? All these questions started to come to me.
What have you learned from, this whole experience of losing your loved ones? How is one supposed to deal with this kind of a loss? Like, like I had this discussion with one of the astrologers on my podcast where I was saying that I was told by a friend who would visit ashrams and who was very spiritual. Very early on in my life, he had told me that when you lose somebody, don't start communicating with your soul, just let them go because they need to go to the other realm. Don't hold on to them. So does that make sense to you? Like,
yes. So after the death of my brother, I actually went to India and did perform proper rituals of sending him off in a very proper way, like spiritually. So not holding on to any part of him, right? You send them off. You do the part of Garud Puran and everything, and you send them off nicely, right? You let them go. Because till the time you keep showing that you're attached to them and you're crying for them and all that, they feel the pain. They feel that they did something wrong by leaving the body, the physical body. The other people are in pain, and they shouldn't have left in a way.
If I can ask you, what do you think when you think about your brother's soul? Where do you think he is right now?
I think he's in Kailash.
He's in Kailash?
Yes, with Shivji. And he's very, very happy. Yeah. And he's overseeing everyone and sending a lot of good energy. Yeah. He was a very, very pure soul, Preetika. He was a very pure soul. He was very innocent. Growing up, we were so sheltered by our elders, right? That, we never had to learn any kind of social gimmicks. कभी भी कोई भी आता था family में, like neighbors or कोई भी, तो we were not supposed to sit and talk to them. We could be, our fun self and, be a child, right? So we never learned all these social conditionings and all those things. Dunyadari, exactly. So very innocent. He was very innocent, and then he was pushed into Bollywood, and this world is very different, right? It was not him. Like, this world was very different from what he was originally.
Yeah, but he was, I think, so talented as an actor.
Yeah.
I remember watching MS Dhoni and thinking, this guy is a star, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
What kind of like I remember seeing his post, Sushant's post, where he would, very early in the morning, he would light these candles, and he would have this group of people, and they would be all,
singing bhajans and all that. That's how we grew up,
Yeah.
Our mom was like that. She'll always listen to pravachan. We'll do bhajans together, and we always felt that God is integral part of our lives, right? We used to talk to God, and so that's how we were brought up. And in India में ये संस्कार बहुत easily imbibe हो जाते हैं, system में आ जाते हैं, integrate हो जाते हैं. So that's like we are blessed that way.
When you discussed these very profound spiritual experiences with Sushant, did he also reciprocate by saying that he's also had such experiences? Would you know?
So spiritual experiences we are not supposed to share as much. So, I wouldn't share with him, but, of course, he was very spiritual as well.
But there were spiritual experiences that he had which were as profound as yours? You feel so? Did he say that to you?
No, he never mentioned as such, but I'm sure he would have had many such experiences, yes. So he was a big Shiva Bhakt, right? He was a big Shiva Bhakt. And he was very, very intelligent. So he was mostly in his mind and, trying to understand things and, try to understand spirituality through science.
Do you think that it's important to, try to connect with souls who have departed in a very mysterious way? Do you think it's important to connect with them via a mediator or a medium, do you think it's important, or we should just let them go and just pray for them? And like you said, you know, you did everything to do his antim kriya, you know, all of those in a very perfect way.
So give him a good send off. Yeah. True, but you know, you should not have this kind of idea that I want to connect with them or I don't want to connect with them. You should be open about it. So if they are trying to contact you, they want to stay connected, you know, they want to shower you with love or some kind of guidance, you should be open to that. Okay. And like when you're meditating or in dreams, when they come and they talk to you, I feel that, you know, one should not close their mind with some kind of boundary that I don't want to talk to them or I want to talk to them. It should be like open, let it happen, whatever happens, let it happen that way. So Bhai has, I have felt his presence a lot of times, and we had a very cute relationship, you know, where we were like almost like twins, right? We were always together. तो बहुत हंसी मजाक और उस टाइप का होता रहता था. तो एक बार क्या हुआ? After his death, I lost my AirPods. Okay. So I was looking for it everywhere, and I was not able to find it. ठीक है? तो भाई धीरे से मेरे कान में बोलता है, like I felt as if he was speaking, और उसका husky voice and everything I felt. And he told me, तुम्हारा AirPod तुम्हारे कर्टन के पीछे है, जाओ वहाँ पे मिल जाएगा, विंडो शील्ड पे. तो मैंने बोला अच्छा. फिर मैं गई और ऐसे देखा तो वहीं पे रखा हुआ था. I was like, oh my God, भाई, this is so spooky. Yeah. I'm able to hear you, talk to you. Is this not spooky? तो मुझे क्या हुआ? This is not spooky at all. This is normal. It's just that I don't have a physical body now, but I can still connect with you. I can still talk to you. And you should be totally fine with it.
Where was this? Where were you when this?
California. Yeah. California, yeah.
And how many months or years after his demise?
अभी तो उतने अच्छे से मुझे याद नहीं है, but I think 1.5 years हो गया होगा.
Okay. 1.5 years after he was gone, this happened?
Yeah. तो I still feel his presence. बहुत कुछ होता रहता है, वो बहुत कुछ करता रहता है. You have no idea. You know, मैं जैसे कार में जाती रहूँगी, तो उसका गाना प्ले होने लगेगा अपने आप. You know, फिर मैं यहाँ आरती कर रही हूँ, कुछ भजन कर रही हूँ और बहुत इमोशनल फील कर रही हूँ, तो टीवी पे अपने आप ऑन हो जाएगा उसका कुछ शिव, वो ओम नमः शिवाय वाला गाना है ना, नमो नमो शंकर, वो बजने लगेगा. एंड इट विल बी लाइक सो surreal, everything will be like, oh my God, he's a very powerful soul. So if he wants to show that I am around you and I am also there with you participating in all, he'll make all these things happen. कल मैं एक बंदी से मिली, स्मिता से, तो she is also very connected to भाई. वो मुझे बोल रही थी कि you know I have this screen saver. भाई का screen saver था और कभी कभी उसने हटा दिया था screen saver को, कुछ और लगा दिया था. ठीक है, क्योंकि she doesn't want to keep remembering all the time, getting reminded. Painful भी होता है ना. तो you know what used to happen? बार बार उसका स्क्रीन सेवर खुद ही आके हो जाता था अपडेट अपने आप. ये सब मेरे साथ बहुत बार हुआ है भाई को लेके. एक बार क्या हुआ, when I was in this one of the solitary retreat, और मैं काफ़ी ज़्यादा like meditate कर रही थी, बहुत ज़्यादा contemplation माइंड में हो जाता है ना इंसान, इंटेलेक्ट बार बार यूज कर रहा है और वो सब. तो भाई उस समय आके बोलते, और आई वाज स्टडिंग होली साइंस, आई वाज रीडिंग द बुक ऑफ ऑटोबायोग्राफी ऑफ विशुद्धानंदा, स्टडिंग अबाउट ज्ञानगंज एंड ऑल दैट. सो आई वाज यू नो टू मच इन माय माइंड, राइट. और वो भाई का ये वाला टाइम था, डेथ एनिवर्सरी वाला टाइम था. तो समहाउ भाई केम टू माय इन माय ड्रीम्स एंड ही टोल्ड मी, दी, don't make it complicated. Don't be in your mind as much. It's easier to be, you know, to be simple, to be in your heart. Just have that love and just know the truth that you are the awareness, and that's enough. You don't have to get into the mind as much. And that was such a beautiful guidance. उसके बाद इतना easily मेडिटेशन होने लगा. अदरवाइज आई वॉज अ लिटिल डिस्ट्रैक्टेड. ओके, क्या क्या हुआ ज्ञानगंज में, किस तरह से विशुद्धानंद ने kuch siddhiyan pai and all that, right? I was a little bit in my mind, excited about it too. But then, keeping it simple.
How do you, when did you actually feel that, he's gone to Kailash and he's with Shiv and he's happy?
After 1 year. So earlier I felt he was restless. Earlier I used to feel that he was restless. And then eventually I felt he was in a good place. He's with, Shiva in Kailash and he's happy, But he's still overseeing things, Yeah.
Did you make that trip by any chance? Like, did you go to Kailash?
No.
You didn't.
नहीं, मेरे को जैसे एक इमेज होता है ना, इमेज आना उस तरह से आया था.
Also, you had a divine encounter with Lord Krishna.
Yeah.
And there is an experience that you spoke about. I could kind of relate to it because I've had something very similar that happened, which I told you about on the phone call. But आपका जो experience था वो बहुत अलग है. मतलब ऐसे एक्सपीरियंसेस शायद योगीज को ही प्राप्त हो सकता है. तो आप ही बताइए.
So एक दिन क्या हुआ, I was listening to Vinod Agarwal's bhajan. He was singing छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुँह से नैना मिलई के. So and then he went into the paragraphs were deeper and deeper, and he was talking about the world, this perception, the world of perception on one side, right, with all its luxury, and my Sham Dulara on one side, and I will always choose you, Sham, right? Made me emotional, and that Vira thing was always there in me, right? So I started crying. I was like, God, I got initiated in Krishna's mantra in 2014 when I went to Rishikesh and I met my Guruji. Okay, so he had told me that I was in one of the caves, like in my previous Janma, I was in one of the caves. I was a yogi and I was meditating, and before attaining the final realization, I died. And I had this sense, I wanted to experience a female body, and, so I took birth like this, but I have those samskars in me. And I find truth in that, because whenever I go for these solitary retreats where there is nobody and I'm in a cabin alone and where I'm meditating day in and day out, like there is nobody to remind me that I am the Shweta, I feel I am home. That is my playground, right? And I had been incessantly repeating that mantra. But kahin pe bhi hu, kuch bhi kar rahi hu, that mantra will keep going on, right? So I was like, God, I have been praying, and it was 2019 when this happened, right? So I kept telling that, God, I have been, constantly, remembering you. Don't you feel a little bit of love for me? Don't you feel like you should come and at least hug me once? Then after the bath, I went to my meditation room, sat there on my meditation. I used to do that every day. वहाँ पे जाके बैठी and I started meditating. And I had that emotion in my mind, and I was like complaining to Mother Goddess that, God, Ma, देखो ये सुनता नहीं है. He's not, he has become nishthur, stone-hearted. फिर क्या हुआ ना, all of a sudden when I was in this meditation, I felt presence of Krishna, right in front of me. I was like, oh my God, is Krishna here? And I offered him the seat that, please God, please sit, and he wouldn't sit somehow. Then it came to my mind that I should leave my meditation chair and go to the other side and let him sit. And all this while I didn't open my eyes, okay, because I had a sense of fear that he might just vanish if I open my eyes. So I just moved to the other side. I let Krishna sit on my meditation chair. And as soon as he sat, he started guided me into a meditation where he told me, okay, so we feel this sense of I, right? I, We all say I, right? Where is this I rising in the body? So divide your body into parts, okay? And see where is this I rising in your body. So I did that. He very nicely guided me. And then when I was going through the whole part, the sense of I is rising in the heart. I felt it, that I am, is rising in the heart center. And then I stayed there for a little while, right? And something beautifully emerged from inside, and it was like golden white light. And then it absorbed me completely. It was like a magnet, like you put attention and then it will like suck you. And when that happened, I started feeling a lot of joy. So each and every pore of my body started to vibrate with that extreme bliss, extreme joy, and with that pure light, as if it was like opening up. All of the pores were opening up and giving way. So like I didn't feel the limitation of body. It started expanding. That awareness, that consciousness started to expand, right? The kind of joy I felt, I cannot even start to explain what it felt like, because, I feel that is what we are all looking for, but we are looking for that in wrong places, in external world, and it is not there, right? So I felt so much gratitude for Krishna. I felt like coming out of that absorption and telling thanks to Krishna. Krishna, thank you for guiding me to this state. And he said, stay there, not even a flicker. Don't move, stay there. And I don't know for how long I stayed absorbed in that state of no mind, no body. And it was like everything was me at that moment.
Did you hear his voice saying that?
Yeah. His voice was very clear. Very clear. Yeah, I heard his voice. Yeah. Then what happened when I came out of it? I tried to move my hand, but I had no sense that this is my body, this is me. That sense had gone. The sense of I being this, that sense had gone, And I stayed in that Sahaja Samadhi for almost a month. Everything was so easy. So there was no sense of doership. The doership had gone. I was like almost like guided by that beautiful light, and always in a state of bliss.
Free flowing.
That Sahaja Samadhi was so wonderful. I feel all of us live for that.
Incredible. I've also had a very divine experience in Vrindavan, in Seva Kunj. So not in the Bake Bihari Mandir, not in any of those places where Ras Leela happened, not in any of those super powerful places, but in Seva Kunj, But that experience was so profound that I don't speak about it, because, it's almost like your experiences, but I don't speak about it. But after that experience, I realized that, all these entities, the Lord who is described in our Vedas and Shastras, they're just the way that they're described. They're just the way.
Yeah.
You've had such profound experiences.
Generally, मैं नहीं बताती हूँ अपने experiences के बारे में. I never used to share also. But this feeling of sharing it grew, because I feel now people are ready to receive it too. And it's not for boasting or something. It happened to me. I want to share it because it can happen to anybody. Whoever puts in that much effort, who believes in it, has faith. And as you were telling about atheism, right? They don't have the sense of faith. They don't want to have somebody, higher than them or have faith in them. But Upanishad is meant for such people. You cannot read Upanishad. For reading the Upanishad, you should be sadhan chatushthay sampann. You should have fourfold qualification. And you know, the very first qualification is Vivek. Vivek is a very fine intellect. So Vivek is, what it means is Vivich Prithak Karne. So like in this world, we have Maya and we have awareness, Brahman, and it's mixed together. So till the time you don't have a very fine intellect which can do vichara, as I talked about avasthatraya, vichara and all that, you won't be able to differentiate between what is Maya and what is the awareness. You need a very fine, very sharp, very subtle mind to do that kind of intellect to do that. Like, but we in our culture, in our spirituality, in our Vedanta, we have space for everyone. We have space for bhaktas, we have space for jnani, we have space for yogi, we have space for karma yogi, we have space for all of them.
You also write in this book about beautiful experiences from Vipassana. तो Vipassana के बारे में मैंने फर्स्ट हैंड सुना है बहुत लोगों से जो विपासना करके आए हैं, एंड इट्स ऑल अबाउट जस्ट जैसे आपने बोला कि these retreats in US that you attended where it's only you and it's that room, that box room that you are in and you meditate all day. तो विपासना भी कुछ वैसे ही है, but of course you meditate along with a lot of people. So after this entire experience of Vipassana, it just clicked and you just decided to teach meditation to kids, right? So can you just tell me all about your experience?
There are two parts to Buddhism, okay? First is Vipassana, that is insight, and second is Samatha, which I do like for a month-long retreats I go to, that is Samatha. Samatha is basically you are calmly abiding with the insight you have had. Okay. So what do I mean by insight? Vipassana, exactly if you transfer it, it means insight. Vipassana में 3 part में divided है. Shila, Samadhi, Panya. Okay? Shila is the kind of commitment, 5 commitments, vows you have to take before you enter the center. ठीक है? And you keep at it throughout the retreat and after too. So no killing, ahimsa. No, so no killing means so you're not having any non-veg, no nothing. No intoxication, okay? No sexual misconduct, no lying, and no stealing. ये 5 आप follow करते हो वहाँ पे. उसके बाद है samadhi. To make you practice samadhi, they teach you anapana meditation. So for first 3 days, you are just focusing on your breath and this spot, okay? The sensations at this spot. So every time your breath touches this spot, you have to be completely aware of that. You know what happens when you do that? Your mind becomes hyper focused, very concentrated, and you're doing that for almost close to 10 to 12 hours every day. ठीक है, sitting on the cushion. So your mind gets really, really focused. Up with that focused mind, you have to move the attention to each and every part of your body and actually observe the sensations that are rising. Okay? And the sensations can be of any kind. It can be tingling. At times it becomes very, very painful. And at times it's very, very pleasurable. There is a bhanga state that you get in where the whole body becomes like a very porous, very transparent, translucent, and beautiful flow of sensation happens. It's a very pleasurable state. But it is told that none of these sensations are long lasting. Okay? They are very transient. So don't get attached to them. Don't try to kind of run away from pain, avoid it, and don't try to hold on to the pleasure sensation. That is our basic instinct. We run towards pleasurable sensation and we run away from pain. That is rag and dvesh. These two are basically always running our life. Any living being, be it ant too, they run away from pain and they seek pleasure. Okay? So that's the panya. Panya is when you realize that, oh, whatever the sensation might be. It might be pleasurable, it might be painful, but it doesn't last forever. It is all transient. Once what happened, I started feeling as if, okay, so we have to take Adhishtan. Adhishtan is like, you don't have to move for at least 1 hour. Just sit without moving, okay? So during Adhishtan, what happened once, I started feeling as if somebody has taken an axe and started cutting my thigh portion. And it was so painful, you know. I was like, oh my God, I cannot sit, I have to move, right? But then, you know, again, I'm a very stubborn person. No, I would not move. Okay, I'll see through it, what is happening. And when you start observing exactly what is happening, when you, with that focused mind, when you see exactly what is happening, you see these sensations. Okay, it's rising, setting, rising, setting. It's not actually constant.
Okay.
Yeah. And you observe that, and then it becomes an object to you. So it is not that you are in pain, that there is a pain sensation. So you objectify it, you become separate from it. And it's such a great learning, because then whatever we go through in life, we can objectify that thing, right? And then it doesn't have that kind of impact on us. So Vipassana teaches us that. And now once you have that insight, okay, you are not the object, right? Whatever is rising, you are the awareness itself. Okay, then you kind of stabilize in that during that samatha practice, where you go for month-long retreat, where you try to stabilize in that. So even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about it. Krishna talks about a state of a sthit pragya, a person with a stabilized wisdom. How are they, right? They know that their real nature is awareness itself. And anything which you can call this, you are not. So there is no identification. That's when you are able to transcend suffering. So Vipassana is that, and Samatha is that. And then, you know, in Buddhism, there has been 3 turnings of wheel. The first one being Hinayana, Theravada. In that, they only study sutras. So philosophy, okay. Then comes the Mahayana. Mahayana is a loosely translated, is a higher vehicle. In that, okay, so in sutra study, you are basically working on your mind, developing your mind, sharpening your intellect. Second is Mahayana, where you have to do sutra study, but you have to work on compassion too, mitta bhavana too, okay. So in compassion, what you have to develop is a state of bodhisattva. So bodhisattvas are those who take this vow that, you know, I won't be completely fully liberated until I help the whole world, everybody in the world to be enlightened. So imagine a heart like that. You have to keep coming back to this world, okay? And this world is not easy, right? You suffer in this world, but they keep coming back to this world to help other people finally transcend and take them to the path of enlightenment. You are working with your heart. Your heart is being developed in Mahayana practice. And then comes the third turning of the wheel. That is Vajrayana. It is considered that when you practice Vajrayana, you can actually get enlightened in one lifetime. And what do you do in Vajrayana? You actually work with your body. So the practice of rainbow body, the practice of Pova technique, the practice of Tumo, all this, you're working with your body and siddhis start to flow through you. So Vajrayana is that. When you are basically working with your mind, working with your psyche, where you are transmuting this vasana punj, this body, into something beautiful, something divine.
So what about food? Like, do you see any significant difference in the kind of food that you desire to eat?
I'll talk about myself. I have always, like in Rajput families, we eat non-veg. I had grown up eating non-veg, right? But when I started meditating a lot, it was not intentional, but whenever I would eat chicken, my body will like reject it. I'll start puking. So somehow this happens, you won't be able to take any non-vegetarian food.
So you're a vegetarian now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I gave it up when I was in my 6th grade. And I belong to a family of non-vegetarian folks.
That shows that you were already aware, person who is conscious cannot do something like that, because it is in a way ahimsa. You're killing somebody to satiate your own hunger, right?
Personally, being spiritual, I never really, I've gone to these retreats, spiritual retreats, where there is silence, but not that long a silence. But what do these long silence retreats really do for you? Because see, you are a householder, you're a mother to 2 kids, you have all those, duties, responsibilities, and then to suddenly cut off yourself and to go, isolated for such a long period of time, like 7 days, 15 days, 29 days, right? You've also had a 29-day retreat. How easy is it for you? And do you think that one should, like, if anybody out there is spiritually inclined, do you think one should make it a priority to do that? Like, does that really help you in a very sure, short way to find yourself and to, your spiritual experiences are way beyond. So would you attribute it to this kind of isolation and giving yourself that dedicated time?
Definitely. So having that kind of time dedicated to your spiritual practice is very important. It's very, very important. And having no distractions during that time is all the more important. When you are alone, sitting with yourself, with your own mind, right? And when there are no impressions you're taking from external world, outside world, what starts to happen? The patterns, the unconscious, unresolved patterns, mental patterns, which you have kind of suppressed in your subconscious mind, they start to brim up, and with 10x force. And then you have to deal with them. And it's so wonderful that you get to see so many aspects of you. You would have thought, oh my God, it was there in my mind still. It all comes up. And then you have to watch through them. You have to, even a lot of painful, traumatic experiences will brim up. You have to be patient with them and sit through them. Then only it transmutes into something very, very beautiful, into power. But you have to find time for them. Otherwise, what happens? I call it from brain drain to brain train. So like mostly what the state we are in, we have suppressed all these unresolved mental patterns because we don't have time for them. We keep ourselves distracted. But these painful experiences, these traumas, these griefs, they are in us. And what happens with time, they start draining us. We won't feel that energetic anymore. Eventually, we form some kind of disease in our body because of all these unconscious patterns. And when we give ourselves that time to sit through those emotions, and Vipassana does that, right? A lot of people get healed during Vipassana sessions. People get healed from their tumor, from their cancer. All these things happen. And researches have been done, like Stanford has researched Vipassana, how people are getting healed. Joe Dispenza does a lot of research on this, that how meditation can heal you. So, when we have that kind of time, we actually understand ourselves better. And more so, you see that how generally people are so restless, they cannot sit with themselves, right? They cannot be alone. They need something, some kind of stimulus, some kind of distraction, some kind of preoccupation, right? When you are alone there, all by yourself with no distraction, you learn about your own minds so much more.
Also, I want to know from you as a parent, if we want to make our kids spiritual, how do we go about the process? Because children are today very restless, they're very intelligent, and also I've heard that, you know, children born after a particular year, I think it is 1997, but I will get it reconfirmed again. They are already very highly spiritual. You know, they're like some divinely ordained spiritual beings who have taken birth to transform the planet.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you agree?
Yeah.
So, how as a parent would you advise, you know, parents out there to inculcate these spiritual values in a child right from the, you know, the age of 3, make it fun for them, and then just instill it in them so that it becomes a very easy part of them.
Yeah.
It's not separate. It's not something that, it's not like an entertainment that I have to go and watch a movie, you know. You have to just carry it within you. It's a part of you.
Yeah.
So how would you advise?
You already beautifully described it. What we have to do is, you know, we should not teach them, try to make them into something, but we should follow what we want to teach them. So like if your child is seeing you get up in the morning, every morning, getting up, going into your meditation room or wherever, you know, and then doing pranayam, doing yoga, sitting for hours of meditation, they imbibe it, right? When you're doing puja, they see it. Oh, wow, you know, this is called faith. When you talk to God, when you pray to God. So instead of trying to teach it or, you know, force feed your children, you should live it yourself.
As a teacher, as somebody who's taught children meditation, what would you suggest and how to go about with, you know, giving these devices like mobile and laptops and iPads to your kids? And even if you do, or I mean, is it books? Do you introduce them to chanting? Do you introduce them to bhajans? Do you introduce them to meditation? Like weekly, I'm talking about like weekly satsangs and weekly bhajans, you know, that your children can attend, which I know for the fact is, you know, a culture amongst NRIs, you know, like Indians who are abroad.
Yeah.
They do it so beautifully, you know, they make it a point to inculcate our Indian culture, wisdom, you know, all these spiritual activities in their kids. And here in India, we just take it for granted. We think it's everywhere, you know, but actually we're not doing it. It's like if you say that, okay, everybody around me is exercising, so I won't, you know, you will not get the benefit of it.
Electronics in itself is not good or evil, okay? You can learn from using these electronics, these cell phones and, you know, technology and internet. You can use it positively. But kids, they don't have that kind of sense yet. They haven't developed that intellect where they can see what is good and what is bad, right? It's what we practice that they're gonna follow, right? If we are using technology just for entertainment, like, you know, now a lot of kids, I have even seen, you know, in my Damara kids, they have ADHD. Kids nowadays are hyperactive because of all these technology and media outpour and everything. They are exposed to all of it, right? All of this distraction. So making them realize that, you know, giving them these spiritual insights and making them realize that they are the awareness is so very important, because they can find the grounding, the centered, you know, centered feeling inside them, right? So I personally feel that we can, as soon as we can introduce them to meditation, to yoga, it will really benefit them, right?
Do you think it's important to have like direct, open conversations with your child as a parent and tell them that this is what I think is wrong and this is what I think you should not be indulging into, but then I leave it to you because you're growing up, you know, And but from the belief system that we come from, we think that this is not right and this is not wrong. Do you think this open, direct communication should be there?
Yeah. And you know, I have always seen this, Preetika. Whenever, like if your child has done something wrong, and if you ask them, Beta, do you think this was the right thing you did? I always ask them this. This was the right thing to do? And they know it. No, Mama, it wasn't right. So why did you do it? So, you know, making them more reflective, introspective, that is our job, right? And then leaving it up to them, and then explaining them the law of karma is very important. If you do this, this is the result. Okay? Never, you know, what is the definition of foolishness? The definition of foolishness is that you keep on doing something and you're expecting different result. Right? That is foolish.
Yeah.
If you are doing something wrong, the result will be wrong.
Yes.
Right? If you are going on a path, it will take you to a different destination. You don't think that you are taking this path and you will go somewhere else, you'll reach somewhere else. Never gonna happen. Right?
Yeah.
Just teaching them that if you are making wrong choices, if you're making a choice of, just watching TV, or not doing your homework, or not respecting your elders. So these are the wrong choices you are taking. And the karma always has, cause and effect. So the effect will follow.
I want to ask you this question because when, forgiveness is a very big unlearning, pattern in during meditations and our spiritual process. And after what happened with Sushant, how have you dealt with this entire aspect of forgiving and your spiritual, journey?
So forgiveness is not easy. Forgiving others is not easy. Again, when you see what is involved in forgiveness, okay, so if somebody does something wrong to you, what do you want out of that person? If you focus, you will see that the only thing you want out of that person is that they learn that they have done something wrong and then they change their ways. That's all you want. You don't want to punish them. Honestly, would you want them to suffer? No. You just want them to learn that, what they did was wrong and they shouldn't have done that. Because if the same thing was done to them, they wouldn't feel good about it. So they should have followed that golden rule. Don't do anything wrong to others which you would not want that thing to happen to you, right? Forgiving is not easy. Forgiving is not easy because, it feels like they have done wrong to you, all right? But when you follow this spiritual path, you understand that you are not the ego self, right? You let go of this identity itself. You understand you are the awareness in which all of this is appearing. So you are not separate from anybody else. So the kind of love that flows through you is unconditional. It's not based on you did this wrong, you did this wrong to me, you should be punished. It's not like that. You become more compassionate. You understand the other person. You want the best for the other person. You want them to evolve so that they can also feel the peace, the bliss that God has to offer, right? And when they are that peaceful, that blissful, will they do wrong ever? No, they won't do anything wrong then. So it's like wishing well for everybody, wishing healing for everyone.
It's actually pain that has become a portal to enlightenment. This is what enlightened souls are all about. And your spiritual journey is so inspiring. I'm sure a lot of us have learned so much. If you have any questions for Shweta, you can probably write in the comments. Is there any other place you want them to approach you or write to you?
They can reach me out at official shwetasingkirti@gmail.com.
Wow, she's given it out to you. And you can also leave in your comments. I will be reading. She will be reading. If you've not subscribed to the channel, you can still do that, because I do podcasts on astrology and I do a lot of spiritual podcasts too. Shweta is also into astrology, but we've not tapped into that today. But yeah, one last question to you. Do you think it was destined? All of these misfortunes that happened to you through astrology, through your horoscope, was it destined?
That this will happen. Look,
Was the loss of your
brother,
family members being
yeah, so yeah, you could see it. Like my mother was definitely my like moon is ast, so moon represents mother, and you know that had to happen. Yeah, but for brother, it didn't show in my horoscope as such.
It didn't show.
No, it didn't show. Yeah.
So lots of lessons, valuable lessons we've learned on spirituality. And yes, once again, Shweta, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you.
You
Preetika.
really graced, my podcast and my journey, my spiritual journey. I have a lot to speak to her in person. Lots of love.